when I was coming today, I was thinking like, that's so bloody awesome outside, and it's spring, and it's sunny, and the winter is over, at least today, at least according to the calendar. So I wanted to talk to you about something kind of a bit whimsical, And I have zero understanding in IT, like below, if there is level below zero, that's pretty much where I feel. I actually come from a very different world. Coming from the world of aviation. So my company were teaching pilots how to fly big planes, and kind of how to instruct other people. We teach instructors and examiners. So like that's what I do. And although there's a lot of IT involved, it's like totally kind of not crossing my field of expertise. And I also am a coach, so that's a very human side of life, which is totally unprogrammable. So yeah, zero knowledge about IT, so I thought I don't want to talk about any kind of business, like at all. I will talk about something which is applicable like on a human level and is whimsical, and what would that be? And I thought like, what can be more? There are two very whimsical questions. Happiness, who God knows what it is, and also dreams. And I thought, yeah, let's go with dreams. Let's go with dreams. And then I also thought, you know what? If you're talking about dreams somewhere around Christmas, when it's New Year, la la la, then the mood is very philosophical. You kind of want to sit down and kick up the legs and kind of relax with a hot wine. But if you talk about dreaming now, then like spring is more for action time. Like you want to do something. So I thought I'll try to share with you, and so it's going to sound cheesy, okay? I'm sorry, but it will sound cheesy. So I am going to share with you my little recipe, how to make your dream a reality. It does sound cheesy. But it worked for me more than once, like for me personally, more than once. I tried it on my husband, it worked for him. We tried it as a family, it kind of also worked. And then I tried to spread it around and see, like make a bit of experiment on humans. And usually, like no one have ever died. And usually there's something positive comes out of that. So take it for what it is, and and see, maybe you can do something with it. But before I'm going on with this kind of very, very simple recipe, I wanted to share with you how exactly, like how I came to this, like how it was born. And that was I will know a specific date. I know a particular date when this was born, and I can probably figure out even the time. Although it was a bit of a lengthy process. It was after 40 hours. So it was 40 hours that we were not sleeping. And actually, biggest part of this 40 hours, we were like on the move, going a bit up or a bit down with roughly 25 kilograms on our back. But like at this point, who is counting? And when we started the journey, we put inside our down suits, we put it like bottles, 1 liter bottles with a hot air, with like boiling air. And by the moment when these 40 hours were gone, these hot bottles, they turned into icy slush, like margarita kind of, but just no alcohol. And every time when you want to drink, you just take a sip, and you really, really want to drink, and you're thirsty, and your throat is a bit inflamed from very cold and very dry air, and you want to sip, and those icy chunks, they kind of scratch on your throat. So every time you sip, you kind of regret that you sip, but you know you have to drink. And we were kind of tired after these 40 hours, and we were approaching the camp on the dawn of the second day. So for like soon enough, I remember myself, that's a bit like an episodes, and then I remember myself already inside the tent, already with some food in my stomach, and inside like the warm sleeping bag. And life inside a cozy sleeping bag is very different. So you sit inside, the weather outside of your tent is getting worse and worse. It was a fairly warm night, but it was about minus 25, 30 degrees centigrade and getting progressively colder. The wind was holding up. Uh, we really, really wanted to sleep, but we knew that we should not fall asleep, because during these 40 hours, you lose, through breathing, you lose so much liquid that you have to drink, you have to replenish. So you actually have to drink at least 5 liters of water. It's like it's a life question. And like, try to drink 5 liters of water. You look simply on that amount, and that's challenging by itself. So we made a hot tea, like a hot Sherpa tea. It's a dark tea with milk and some spice, like cardamom, and trying to and a lot of sugar, like lots of sugar. And we were sipping this very hot tea, and that was making life in that tent a little bit more normal. It's like you have this kind of sitting in the kitchen feeling. And it was me, and my husband was in a down sleeping bag near me, and we were sipping tea, and we knew that we'll probably have to do that all through the night. And we said, you know what? Let's just kind of spend this night in a bit of a meaningful way. Like, what shall we do? And maybe there is something that we have to discuss as a family or as a human beings. And that was the night when this recipe was born. So that's where it's coming from. But that night, I remember we're sitting and drinking the tea, and it was a very weird feeling, because first time in long time, especially in those 40 hours, but like a way longer time, you feel safe. And that was altitude of 6,400 meters, and we almost have descended from the Mount Everest. So we're sitting there in that tent with basically 2 questions in our mind. And the first question was, it was a bit bigger. It was like, we have made it. And it was like, how it's even possible, how it happened that we're sitting here together, and we've made it to the top and almost made it back. Well, like, not exactly made it back, but there's a good chance that we will kind of make it back. And we have all the digits like on place, and the nose, and we're kind of semi-healthy. How we have pulled it through. So that was the question number 1. And that's the Mount Everest there on the background. But then the question number 2 was like, okay, who cares how we pull it through? How we can replicate it? How we can make, like, what we can do in the same way, what we have done right, to make sure that we can do more of that kind of crazy stuff, if we like it, in our life, for whatever times in the future. And that was probably the main question of the night. Like, if we trace it back, and if we trace all our like other achievements or not achievements or failures back, what is that? How we can kind of come to a recipe and take it with us and try. And we have come to the one conclusion, that it all depends on how it starts and with what it starts. And in our case, it all started with a dream. And then we thought, yeah, but dream is a bit, what is a dream, yeah? Like, dream is not even an objective. Like, what is a dream? And why do you actually need to dream? Like, is it mandatory? Do you have to dream? Because you all remember, like, you all been in the kindergarten. You've been small, right? You had the weird dreams when you're small? Yeah? No? Anyone didn't? Like, I remember I was living in a 1-room apartment in a 9-story building. I remember I was drawing a way how we can keep a horse. And I drew like an escalator, how to basically get up with what to feed the horse, and how to get down the residuals. So, and things like that. And so we all had our kind of silly, funny, impossible dreams back then. But then at some point, we get clever, and we get educated, and we kind of strive to become normal, like normal, serious people. Usually, desire to become a normal, serious individual ends up with mortgage. And that is a good start to end your dreams, in a way, at least for some time. But if you unwind it kind of to before mortgage, can you now remember what your most silly dream was? Huh? A dream. Okay, go with it. Travel the world, exactly. Yeah. I think, try to remember now what you were dreaming about when you were like, I don't know, kindergarten, school, preschool, early school, before you learned that there are frames. And then at some point, there's a question, when do we stop dreaming? And why and how it happened that we have stopped dreaming those kind of unbelievable dreams. And then we were sitting in the stand and drinking tea and thinking, is that the right course of action? Like, do we have to do that? You're silly, you're little, then you grow up, and then you kind of become a normal person. And is it good for us? Is it bad for us? Is it like outside of a good and bad? And why do actually people dream at all? And mind you, there is almost no oxygen like on that altitude. So I'm not sure that our thinking process was entirely like on a good level. But when we're sitting back then, it kind of seemed obvious that the whole process of like crazy dreaming, that's what giving people stamina. You know, that's what keeps you resilient when you have that dream. If you read all those like terrible memoirs from concentration camps and everything, they also had a dream, no matter what kind of dream it was. They kind of felt the strength, how to get through whatever. And also, it seems that the dream is something that kind of open your eyes. You know, you suddenly like you see, you have this peripheral vision. And the whole act of dreaming, it brings back the curiosity, the kind of sparkle when you wake up Monday morning. You wake up not with a Monday morning, you wake up with a totally different feeling. You kind of like, there is something out there which is still not discovered, which is fun. And that kind of goes together with the curiosity and with the dreaming. And also, it's not 100% scientific, but it seems to me that it's almost not possible to achieve something that you haven't dreamed of. Like if you have dreamt of something, there's a big higher chance of getting there. And for all those reasons combined, it kind of seemed for us that it's a really time well spent if it's spent on dreaming. But only in the case this is a serious dreaming, okay? You know, no difference between serious dreaming and not serious dreaming. Anyone? No? No? Okay, how a dreaming can be serious. Non-serious dreaming is like, maybe I want this, and maybe that, and maybe one day, la la la. That is like a non-serious dreaming. Like, that would never help you. Like, this is clouds in the air, and then never materialize. Serious dreaming, when you have a dream which is strong enough and specific enough, that it has such a power in it that it will take you through that. Yeah? It doesn't have to be an objective yet, but that's the serious dream. Make sense? Yeah. Before we go into my small recipe of how to make that dream a reality, let's try to pull this one through. Try to think, if possible, now, what potentially could be for you that serious dream. Apparently I was walking without. Great. Don't get distracted. Okay, I will not mock you. If you had at least some glimpses of what that dream could be, hallelujah to you. That's amazing, because if you know what you want, there's a way higher chance to get it. If right now you were like, oh, this microphone and why she's wearing this and this is a sunny outside and la la, and I don't know what's the dream, or I have like 150 different ones. Yeah, I mean, when you will be coming home or having a drink, just ask yourself, like imagine there's going to be a genie with a lamp. What would you ask for? Like, what is that one dream that you really want to achieve, or few dreams that you really want to achieve? Okay? And here come my little recipe. So there are 5 steps in order to make your dream a reality. And the most difficult step is this. Like, I mean, no, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm really not kidding. I'm like dead serious. If you have dream which is powerful enough, that will, in 80% of the cases, take you where you want to be. Why? What do I mean when I say powerful enough? It has to be specific. It has to be, like, all dreams comes at a cost. Yeah? There is no such dreams that would not mean that you also have to lose something in order to achieve it. Like, whatever, if you go one direction long enough and well enough, it means that you're not going the other direction. And that will always be the case. So your specific dream have to be kind of bold enough so you know what are the consequences of getting it, and what are you be not getting if you will get it done. Does it make sense? Yeah? So that specific dream is the most important step. And then once you have it, like when you're really sure, I like really want to travel the world, like not hypothetically travel the world, like I really want to travel the world. Then comes the step number 2. That actually takes 20 seconds. Okay? The first one, it can take years. The second one comes 20 seconds. I'll give you an example. For example, oh, my dream is to climb Mount Everest. Yeah, one day I will climb Mount Everest. That means nothing. Yeah? If I know specifically that what it takes to climb Mount Everest, and I will climb Mount Everest, then my commitment would be like, okay, I will climb Mount Everest. Not today, because I can't. Maybe not tomorrow. But I will start to figuring out how to do it now. Like now. And that's your commitment. And when you take your this insane dream, and I'm not saying you shouldn't know how to achieve it yet, but we just say, this is what I want. I have no idea how to get it, like 0 idea, but I will start to figuring out now. That's what a commitment would be. And then actually, if you look, like there is nothing, like even the craziest plan, like climb Mount Everest, actually is quite an easy thing. Because if you split it into parts, then basically you just need a good physical condition, and not like don't have to be Hulk or like a superhuman. If you can run a marathon, that's pretty much good enough. In May, everyone in the city runs a marathon, so it's pretty much like no-brainer. Then you need to have experience with a bit of an mountain climbing, so you need to know your ropes and your techniques and how to do it on ice and crevices and a bit of a technical climbing, how to sleep in an ice cave, how to dig one. But those things, you can kind of still put it in a list, yeah? You need to know how your body functioning on high altitude, be comfortable with -30, -40, and things like that. But it's not undoable if you just list it. It will be like 20 things. So you can just basically like tick, 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 and off the chart. And if those 2 are done, then you only need like about 2-3 years to prepare for Mount Everest. Like not 30 years, not 300 years, like 3 years. So altogether, this plan can very much be a reality. And you don't have to go and climb Mount Everest, because everyone has their own Mount Everest. Something which is like very attractive and a bit stupid, but still challenging, but still kind of talks to you and seems unrealistic, but you want it to happen. All those things are rolled in one. And you just apply the same strategy to that. So it's kind of fairly simple. And then when you have committed, you have a choice. You can either share it or not share it. And it's up to you, and it will make a difference in your particular case. And I will tell you why. There are people who work better under the pressure of the society. It's like, if I'm telling my friend I'm going to the gym and he is going with me, then I probably will end up in the gym. If I'm not telling my friend I'm going to the gym and he is not going with me, then I probably end up in front of the computer. I mean, that's how it sometimes works for me. But sometimes this pressure of the society is a good thing. It's like you need to say, okay, this is my, objective. I will spend without sugar the next month, or running like 1 kilos or 10 kilometers per day, blah, blah, blah. Instagram, Twitter, everyone follows me. Hooray, here we go. Sometimes that process gives you energy. Sometimes that process takes all the energy out of you, because you kind of already imagined it so well and spent so much time talking about it, that when actually time to go out and do what you have said, like, it just kind of doesn't feel that anymore. Or like, it almost felt like you have had this experience already, so you don't want to have it again. And only you know how you function. But think about how you function. So the moment when you will actually do what matters to you, you will know very well how to use this, use or not use this sharing in a way that will help you to get where you want, not stop you from getting where you want. And that is the obvious one, right? I'm sure in this room, like, are you doing budgets? No? Plans for the projects? No. Nah, who needs planning? Exactly. Why planning if you can just go do it? But planning, in that scenario, that's where the magic a little bit kind of continues. So, or even starts. So you have this kind of crazy dream of yours. I don't know. Give me one crazy dream. No one? That's that's a business plan. That's not even crazy. Okay, to open a hotel in Spain, let's say, and let's say have zero information about the business. So say, I will one day open a hotel in Spain. Then you have to make it specific. I will one day open a hotel in Spain that would be a family hotel with about 20 rooms, or 100 rooms or 5 rooms, and that will be on that coast of Spain, because that is the weather that I like, and that's how I like my waves when I'm looking from that hotel to in front of the window. And then you say, okay, and I want to do that in 20 years from now, or 15, or 10. And I don't know how I'm going to do it in 10 years from now, but I will try to figure it out today. And then you think whether you actually tell your, family or friends about your plan, because otherwise you get married and the guy wants to open hotel in Norway, and that's a bit of a conflict right there. And so you basically think about this one, and then you start to plan, and that is the interesting thing. And then you say, okay, I want to open a hotel in Spain in 10 years, and that is the size, the type of the hotel I want. I have zero idea about the whole business at all. What areas, how can I split this huge task into small pieces? How can I eat an elephant in small steps, bit by bit? Maybe I need to know something about property in Spain. What's the tax? What's the ownership? Who can own? How much it costs? Just to know. Maybe I need to see the trends in the hotelier industry altogether. What's the number of rooms available on this coast and that coast? Who comes there? From what countries? What are they specific looking for? So maybe then I need to understand how to segment and what I would like to do. Maybe then So then you basically just figure out how to split it in parts. And mind you, you don't have to know how to solve any of them. But you just now made this task. It's just a little bit more easier for yourself. And then you say, okay, Great. Then what will be my first step? My first step is to figure out what is the easiest step of that. Like, out of all this, what I can do now without whatever huge investments or huge efforts. Now I can probably, I don't know, do a research about property or do a research about this or that. But you pick up the easiest possible step and you do that. And then you pick up the next easiest possible step. And just please do small steps, do it very easy steps. Like, don't go very hard on you, there is a reason behind it. The reason behind it, because if you go into those small steps, you are creating a momentum. You're creating the feeling of progress. You're creating this inertia that goes with you. You're also becoming clever on the way. And rather than have a feeling of, oh, I have this huge thing to do and I don't know and I failure, like I don't know, I will never get it done. You're having the feeling that, oh, I am actually under control. I'm like controlling the situation. I actually like orchestrate what is happening. I do the small steps and they work and I'm having a progress and I'm getting further in my dream. And that is like a super good feeling. Like just this feeling alone elevates you totally. Like you wake up on Monday in a total different mood, believe me. And you do that, and even if you are years away from that dream, just the feeling that you are moving in the right direction and you are progressing, it will help you to solve things and you will see the solution for things that before that seemed totally, totally impossible. Just optimism does that trick. So this thing actually gets very, very simple, and I told you that the first point is the most difficult one. And then, yeah, basically just go execute, done, yeah? Then you do this step-by-step execution plan. And you know what? One good thing to keep here in mind is, remember, that is your dream. Like, you are the owner of that dream. You can dream it up. You can undream it. You don't have to explain anything to anyone. You have the power to change your dream at any particular moment in a fashion you like without the guilty feeling. That's the magic of ownership. Yeah? It's like with a business. If it's your business, you can bankrupt it in any moment in the way you like. If it's somebody else's business, no, that's a bit of a problem. Yeah? So that's a very, very simple step. Five steps works all the time. Later on, if you have time, you can ask me examples. But if it is so easy, how come the majority of the world is not having all their crazy dreams achieved? Why? And I was asking myself this question, and I was observing that in my coaching practice. And I was thinking, like, what are the obstacles? Like, what are the things that standing between us and that wonderful dream of ours? And unsurprisingly, probably, it came to this as a first thing. Basically, it's fears of some sort, but that is one of the fear that's almost in the forefront. It's fear of, you can call it a fear of difficulties. You can also call it a fear of uncertainty. It's almost like, I don't know what's behind the corner, and I'm not quite sure how it will ruin my wonderful situation now. And I really see that I have a huge possible loss, and I'm not quite sure about what kind of gain I have. So why don't I just don't do anything and stay where I am? And also another way how this fear is manifesting, our brain sometimes looking forward and creating problems that still haven't happened. Like like nothing bad have ever happened, but here you're super occupied. Well, this can go wrong, this can go wrong, this can go wrong, and it's going to be super difficult. And you're already tired, even before starting. And that thing, I am talking from experience, that is exactly like how I felt here. That is like a bit of a short route to the top of Mount Everest. And somewhere here, like, okay, a little red dot doesn't work on the screen. Hair. Finger always works. Hair. There are probably, I don't know if you see, they're like tiny, tiny yellow dots, like super micro tiny yellow dots. Those are tents. So this is the base camp, and this is the Khumbu Icefall. And then somewhere there, it's a Lhotse face, South Summit, and the summit of Mount Everest. So this is like about 5 kilometers, 5.3, and then basically it's almost 9 up there. And I remember getting myself in the first time in the base camp of Mount Everest. It's the first night where I arrived yesterday. We spent the night there. You wake up in the morning. You kind of have a good spirits because you've been looking forward to this trip and you've been looking forward to this kind of arrival. And it's about 7-9 days hike, 70 kilometers hike to the base camp. So you wake up and you think, I had a super sleep. I'm super strong. I'm gonna crush it. You wake up and you feel dizzy, and you feel a headache. And you're like, all digits are swollen. And I was sitting in the tent and I tried to lace my sneakers, like ordinary, and I couldn't lace my sneakers properly. Like my foot were swollen, so I needed to unlace it, and then I couldn't lace it back. And then it felt like when I get out of the tent and I just put my head down and try to lace it again, I felt like woof, and a desire to a bit of a vomit. And then I feel like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And then from the tent, you had to walk, I don't know, 30 meters, 50 meters, like not a lot, to our common tent where the breakfast would be. And it's not a hike really. Like it's a short thing. And I remember, but it's not even. It's a bit up and down because it's on a marina. So I remember I walked this 30, 50 meters and I already felt almost like out of breath and tired. And I was like, if I am tired after lacing my boots and walking 30 meters, like how are we gonna make it? Like what's the forecast for the future now? And I want to take you with me to the base camp now, so you get a little bit of my pain. Sit you. I just sit up tight, up. Make a big lungs, yeah. And now do this. Now what you will have to do, you'll have to breathe like you will breathe on in the base camp. So basically what you have to do, you have to follow me. I will, on a command, I will tell you how to breathe in and then kind of breathe out. But there is a trick, okay? But don't be lazy. There is a trick. You have to breathe in to the moment, you can even sometimes put to the moment when your rib cage goes a bit outwards. Like it should go a bit outwards, and you almost have to feel when your ribs are a bit moving out. Yeah, that will be the first thing that you're feeling. After you're feeling that, it's going to start to hurt just a tiny bit, a little bit. Then you continue breathing in. And then you think that you can't breathe in anymore, and then you just do a little bit more of that, okay? Are we good? Yeah? You feeling strong? Okay. Ready? Steady? Go. First night on the base camp, in order to move, you have to do breaths like that for every step you're taking. So basically you're getting more tired of breathing rather than of any other exercise. And right here in camp 3, okay, finger, here. You would have to take like 3 to 4 like breaths like that for every step you're taking. So with that technique, when I got to my breakfast tent, and when I felt like completely and utterly devastated, and like I felt like a total rubbish, and I was not quite sure what I am doing here, and maybe I should kind of pack my bag now and go without shame and very quietly, and then I was I was contemplating about it when I was looking like on the breakfast tent. And I was still feeling quite bad. And then I like turned around and I immediately started to feel like shit. And that was when I was looking on this. Like, if that is the Khumbu icefall, if you zoom in here, that's basically what you would see. And icefall is called icefall because it's all in the name. So it's basically like a river of ice which is falling on you. And the speed of ice river is about 2 meters per day. So it's kind of like moving pretty steadily. And then that's the reason why when you cross in it, you have no chance to do it slowly. So like you cannot take your time. You basically have to do it as fast as possible. Because you really don't know when the avalanche is coming. There is a probability that the avalanche during the day is way more probable than the avalanche during the night, and that's why you have to wake up at 2 o'clock a.m. and get dressed and then kind of try to move through the icefall before it is like a day. But you know that while you're doing it, you can't really do it too slow. You have to move fast. Do you remember the speed of my progress from the tent, like from my tent? And that was pretty flat surface. And I had no equipment and nothing on my back. And then when I was looking on this, and I was like, there is no way in the world, like it's never gonna happen. There is no way in the world how I'm going to wake up 2 a.m. today, like this night, and just go up. And then my brain was doing immediately this good thing. My brain thought, okay, so it's never happened, it's not gonna happen, it's gonna be super difficult, it's gonna be super painful, I am kind of afraid already. So what do we usually do when this happens? Procrastinate. Why don't I figure out the reason? I am not acclimatized yet. Exactly. It's a proper, totally legit reason. I'm not acclimatized yet. So I would rather go back to my kind of chief of the whole trip, to the lead guide, and I tell him, you know what, there's the thing, I'm not properly acclimatized yet. That's why I don't feel strength enough. So I will get acclimatized eventually, and one day I will feel exact in a good health in order to move upwards that icefall. And half of my brain is super happy with this amazing plan, kind of. It feels great. Other half of my brain goes like, wake up to reality, honey. We're not in the real life. We are in the mountains. There's a window schedule. There is a schedule of the trip. You just don't have a possibility of procrastinating as you would like to normally do. So whatever it is, you basically will have to dress up and move your butt up to this Khumbu icefall, and then we'll see what happens. And if nothing happens, then you have to move back, pack your shit, and go home. But if something happens, like basically you have to move and do it step by step. And yeah, I think it took me, well, I have to say this waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning was pretty bad. But next morning, it took me about 9 hours. And after 9 hours, somehow, inexplicably to me, I was already on top of the Khumbu icefall. And I was looking back on this. And I thought, first, I don't know how I got here, but I'm super happy. And second, well, actually, it was not that difficult. Like, it was difficult, but it was not, I was not going to die like more than 3 times. Feeling-wise, like what no immediate danger, but like it was still doable. It was like a bad day on the gym, but it wasn't anything way worse than a bad day in the gym. And then I thought, okay, how often elsewhere I would rather procrastinate than move my butt, just because it's not in the mountains. So this is one kind of thing that I took with me, that sometimes even in life, when you look out for something and it looks way worse for you than it probably is. So it's really kind of worth to get your nose out there and put your foot out there, and who knows where it will get you in 9 hours or more. But what is that? I probably have to press that I love it. I don't know. But this fear of difficulties is probably not the only one. So I guess this is when I have to ask for technical help. You have a gift from Zoom. But this fear of difficulties or fear of uncertainty, there is something, oh, thank you. There's another one. And that sometimes is way more difficult than the first one. Because somehow, in the space of our cubicles and in the space of our cars, we somehow think that the world revolves around our success and our failure. And there is an interesting progress. The more up-stylish is the office or the cubicle, and the more expensive is the car, the more the feeling that the world revolves around your success and your failure is stronger. And thanks God, mountains is the place that you often are kind of, well, just technically on arrival, you're dwarfed by your surroundings. So you do have a good reality check that probably world is not quite only about you. But there was another one perspective what I got up here that I wanted to share. This is about 8 kilometers high, approx. It's the core of Mount Everest, and this is one of the 2 places where you can rest on the way up. One is the balcony that was like totally dark back then, no worth making a picture. And that was the second one. And what was interesting here is that when you're resting here, if there's not enough snow, you can actually see seashells underneath your boots. So like you stand on limestone, which used to be the bottom of the ocean at 8 kilometers high. And you're like, ooh, how is that possible? And actually Everest is a pretty young mountain. It's like 40 to 60 million years young. So back then it was a shallow warm ocean between the India and the Eurasian plate. And when they collided and gave birth to Everest, it's a fairly modern process. And now think, when you're in the mountains, you know that you're nothing compared to the mountain. And apparently, Everest is nothing compared to the lifespan on our planet. It's only 2% of time of this planet it was living with Mount Everest. 98% it was without. So with plenty of time where there was no Mount Everest. And now it's plenty of time when there is Mount Everest. And probably there's going to be plenty of time with no Mount Everest again. And you know what? Our planet is going to be just fine. And now if you climb in the night, you can zoom out a bit further. And then in the night, you basically, it doesn't feel like you're walking. It feels like you're swimming in stars. Because the stars, they're very intense. There is no lighting. And the sky is kind of purplishly black. And you have stars not only on top, but you also have stars on the sides. And after certain elevations, you actually have stars like beneath your feet. So you're standing there and looking around and thinking, wait, I am standing on a tiny blue speck, which is part of a not very big solar system, somewhere in the outskirts of not very important galaxy, and in the regions of the universe. And if that is the perspective to take, why exactly I was so worried about my failures? Like, why worry? Because basically with that perspective, there is really not much I can do that would matter for the universe. It's like if I try something and I fail, universe basically doesn't give a shit. Like it doesn't care, like nothing will change. If I try something and I succeed, universe probably still doesn't give a but I do, so I kind of like the result. So if I don't try, I have nothing. If I do try and fail, I have nothing. We're still there. If I do try and succeed, I have something. So why exactly I should spend energy on worrying if I fail? What will happen if I fail? Like I'm so not important in this whole kind of universe picture. There is really no need to spending my energy on that. I'd rather take that little bit of energy and do that step and just see where it takes me. So that kind of there in the mountain, that felt like a very obvious thing. But there was one contradiction though. There was one contradiction. And the contradiction was that if I am so small with all my dreams and desires and objectives and whatever, and if I'm so insignificant worldwide or universal, why even bother trying? Like, why try? Like, why it even matters? And I honestly, I couldn't find an answer for quite a while. I did find somewhat of an answer for myself here. That is the top of Mount Everest. And the one thing happens when you, and I'm not, no, I cannot say if it happens all the time. I have to try one more time to see. But what happens is that when you get up, you suddenly see that the world seems like super, super beautiful. Like there is sort of elegance and harmony that is very, very hard to describe. It also feels very, very fragile. Like so fragile that it's like you want to put it like a little kitten on the palm and dust off all the worries, and then put it inside your coat and protect and warm up. Like that's the level of fragility that you see in front. And another feeling, which is again, it always like you feel it with your spine, and that is that everything is somewhat connected. Like there is no borders or there is no limitations. Whatever happens on that planet, in a somewhat way, is your personal, like my personal business. Like you can't say, oh, there is a problem in Malaysia, like there is a volcano in Malaysia. No, it's kind of like a volcano on my planet. Or I can't say there is a forest problem in Peru and ignore it. Like this is somehow you feel it's connected to you personally and you can't ignore it. And you do feel as integral part, like tiny, 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 but very integral part connected to this whole universe. And if that is true, then probably that whatever this small integral part is doing somehow matters for the universe. It's a bit of like butterfly effect. So then maybe if I do try and do reach out and do achieve my dreams, maybe somehow it does have a positive spin on the universe. And that's maybe the only way how I can somehow influence it. There is no scientific proof. You have to go out and try for yourself to see what kind of feeling do you have. But if there is a slight chance that that can be the case, isn't that a good reason enough to dream and go for it? And as I told you, the most important part and the most difficult part is actually to make a dream, like which is bold enough and strong enough and important enough for you, so it makes you move. And that's exactly why if I am to tell you anything today, then I want to tell you one thing, just go dream. Go dream and dream bigger and dream bolder and dream more often and dream those craziest dreams. And then do the 5-step plan and just go achieve it. And that's probably how you will impact the universe. Good luck. Thank you. I think we do have time for questions, if you have any questions. Yeah. I can't throw that. Like, there will be consequences. The person catching one should.
Did you made it on the first time?
Hmm?
Like, did you climb Mount Everest on the first time, or do you have like several attempts? Was it like your
No,
first
we were
trip?
climbing a whole lot of mountains before,
Okay.
but it somehow happened that we had a good shot on the first time on Mount Everest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I mean, we can try. I told you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to say that it was really, really inspirational for me. And
Thank you.
my question is, after achieving this big dream of yours to climb Mount Everest, what's your next big dream?
Oh.
If it's not a secret.
No, it's not a secret. Actually, there are a few. The stupidest one is to sail around the world. Yeah, we kind of like when we ended up with this 5 steps plan with my husband in the tent. Remember, we were not thinking straight. I told you, yeah. So then we thought, okay, right, what shall we do next? Like now we have this fantastic plan of ours, and we think it works, and it worked kind of before. But how? Like, let's see. And I said, okay, what's your childhood dreams? Like, let's go all bold into the childhood dreams. And my husband said, you know what, when it's probably not in the kindergarten, but it was like early school, I read a lot of this literature about travel in the world, so I really want to sail around Cape Horn. And I said, he was like, what's yours? Like, what's your dream? I said, I have 2. I really want to go down the Mariana Trench. And I really wanted to sail. I was very influenced by Thor Heyerdahl, Kon-Tiki. I really want to spend time like on the boat in Polynesia. And then we thought, whoa. Well, the world is round, and if you sail around Cape Horn, it's basically Polynesia just around the corner. It's like just 1 month of sailing, and it's like you're almost there. So that kind of makes sense. There's no big contradiction there. And we thought, but let's decide that we as a family want to sail around the world. And then we said, fine, what else? Like let's make it specific. What else do we know about this now? And we said, okay, we also want to do it with kids. And back then, our amount of kids were 0. And we're not really in a rush of having kids. So it was not like a plan for tomorrow. And in the down bags, it's really difficult up there. So we have to postpone it for a later. So yeah, that was then we decided, let's see if we can pull that through. And we haven't pulled that through yet, I have to say, but we both have a captain's license for a boat. We have sailed quite extensively. We have crossed Mediterranean manually without electronics. We do have 2 kids now. They're fairly tiny, not that tiny, probably that tiny. But we have sailed with them already, just 4 of us, just to see how that functions in an open water. And we still have the same amount of kids, so everyone survived. And yeah, basically try to kind of we're going according to those 5 steps, and it kind of moves in a good direction.
Awesome. Good luck.
Thanks. Anyone? No? Well, thank you very much for your time then, and enjoy the few hours of spring we have today. Cheers.